Extreme Tire Wear is back at Bristol. Chandler Smith won the Truck Series race on Friday night, thanked the Lord, and then also swore at the same time. And then Kyle Larson, he just dominated the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. New colorway on the t-shirt here. If you saw it on TikTok already, well, you just beat everybody else to the punch. Trying out some different colorways. This one feels a bit militaristic, but hey, we're here to try it on and see what it looks like. Let's get into the actual news of the day, though. We're going to start off with the Extreme Tire Wear at Bristol. It looks like it's back. So if you enjoyed last year's race, where it was just absolute chaos, you might be in store for this once again. Some people just want to embrace the chaos. Some people just want to watch the world burn. Some people, they just want to see tires wear out in 40 laps at Bristol and just cause absolute mayhem. And I kind of fall into that category because I thought last year's race was wildly interesting, wildly entertaining at the same time. And it presented a problem in real time, a variable that nobody saw coming, and they all had to try to accommodate it. And some people did better than others last year, like Denny Hamlin. Others just absolutely wore through their tires immediately. And we saw the same thing start to happen in practice on Saturday for the Cup Series. Basically, every team up and down pit lane had some sort of cording issue happening. And they were cording about 40 laps in. Zane Smith said it's like a light switch. You're good one moment, and the next moment you're absolutely out there skating like you're Morgan Shepherd, and it's not a comfortable feeling for most of the drivers that are going to be out there. Now, I'm cautious about if it's going to happen on Sunday in the race. And the only reason I say that is because the temperature was flirting around 49, 50 degrees Saturday during practice, and it does appear that this issue is temperature related. Now, at the same time, Goodyear did say last year in the summer that they were able to recreate this problem in the warm weather as well. But then we got back for the Bristol night race in the fall, and it was an absolute snoozer. There was zero tire wear, and Kyle Larson led like over 450 laps of the 500 laps that day. So didn't exactly work out there. I will say tomorrow on Sunday, the ambient air temperature is about to be 15 degrees hotter than it was on Saturday. It's going to be around 65 degrees on Sunday. So I went back and looked at the weather from March 17th, 2024, when the NASCAR Cup Series made its visit last spring to Bristol. The temperature that day, the high, 64 degrees. So we may be setting up for another absolute chaotic race where it feels like you're in a video game, like NASCAR Heat 5, and you're playing on Rookie, and you're just absolutely blasting the doors off of these people like you're in speed driving the bus. And we'll see what happens on Sunday. But if it does get down to that, I don't know if it's going to be as extreme as what we saw last year. And the only reason I say that is because towards the end of last year's race, these teams who were presented this variable on the fly started to make adjustments to their cars where they could last longer than those 40 to 60 lap range. They're able to last maybe more like 80 to 100 there, and that's a little bit more attainable for them. Now, they still have to manage their tires really, really well, and last year it played perfectly into Denny Hamlin's hand, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, and this year I think it's going to play into those guys' hand again, other than Kevin Harvick, but I think like a Josh Berry could maybe end up in there, and I think a lot of guys last year learned what they're going to need to do, but Denny Hamlin's never won 3 races in a row in his career, and this is kind of setting up perfect for him come Sunday. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if it does end up being like that. If it is, I thought last year's race was a banger. I thought it was chaotic. I thought it was interesting, and I love when people could get thrown a problem on the fly, and they got to try to problem solve for that in real time. We'll see if that happens again. The only thing I'm going to say is, 1, they've got an idea how to handle it like they did last year. 2, they're also going to have all night at the track to try to figure this out, and they have war rooms back in Charlotte that are absolutely trying to work on this issue right now to try to mitigate this problem come Sunday. Either way, I think we're going to see some sort of tire wear because there was some big time cords showing on Saturday in practice. And Larry Mack said, hey, what I'm seeing in this practice this year on Saturday is worse than what I saw last year in practice. We'll see what happens, but for now, it feels like history might be repeating itself. It was trucking night in America on Friday. We had Daniel Hemrick starting on the pole, which was set by the Matrix because qualifying got rained out. But that didn't stop one fan from asking Bob Pockrass why they didn't just qualify on wet weather tires. And then as the runs went on and the guys that were qualifying towards the end of the lineup there would just be able to put slicks on because tracks change regardless, right? Like the track evolution happens whether it's dry or wet to dry or just wet in general, which I'm not really sure how that guy processed that. I don't think all the brain cells were firing because it'd be wildly a wild disadvantage to the people that had to qualify in wet weather tires, but hey, to each their own, I guess. But God bless Bob for putting up with some of the questions that people ask of him on there. But the race started off, Daniel Hemrick leads the first 8 laps, and then Chandler Smith, he snatches the lead away like he's Joey Chestnut at a hot dog eating contest, and he led a lot of laps on Friday night. My apologies, Friday night. It wasn't a leisurely drive, though, for Chandler Smith or for anybody else in the field. In stage 1, we had Connor Mozak go for a solo pirouette. We also had Frankie Muniz and Ty Majeski get tangled up like they were two young lovers at their first homecoming dance. They were just stuck to one another after Ty Majeski tried to move Muniz out of the way. Majeski is running P4 at the time. Muniz spins around, and they come to a stop right there along the banking, and Majeski has to climb out, and I assume there was some words exchanged between the doors there since they were so close. Fox, in their infinite wisdom, at a half-mile short track, a place where you can sit anywhere in Bristol and see all around the racetrack, didn't have a good camera angle of this happening, despite Majeski running P4 at the time, and all they had was kind of this high-level shot, wide angle, and you could maybe pick out the wreck that was happening down there. Just on brand for Fox. Once again, Chandler Smith goes on to win stage number 1. In stage number 2, Raja Karuth had a solo spin by himself. He would actually rebound from that. He's also driving a Formula E car on Saturday as well as part of the new Andretti Global, powerhouse that is Spire, along with Andretti IndyCar and Cadillac F1 and the Formula E team and everything else that Dan Towers and TWG Global now own that used to have the Andretti name on it. Fun for him, regardless. And then in stage number 2, Bailey Curry, using fresh tires, went out there and stole the stage win away. Completely unexpected. A stunner, if you will, unlike what March Madness gave us, which was basically no stunners whatsoever. Then in stage number 3, Raja Karuth goes out there and leads 85 laps, but he's on a different strategy now, so he's going to have to pit. And when he does, Corey Heim inherits the lead there. And you're probably thinking, if you're in the field, dang, this must be what the Formula One field felt like when Max Verstappen was just winning all his races, because it feels like Corey Heim, doesn't matter the track, doesn't matter the day, doesn't matter the state, doesn't matter what time, he is going to find his way to the lead. And then ultimately, he would end up not winning the race, despite, rewind real quick, Jamie Little said Corey Heim is looking for his first Bristol win. He won at Bristol in the Truck Series in 2023, but sure, don't let facts stand in the way of a good line, I guess. And then as Heim is battling Chandler Smith for the lead, Chandler Smith takes the lead with about 14 laps to go. And Michael Waltrip, thank God he was in the booth, had to blurt out that there was a battle for the lead because Jamie Little wasn't paying attention, was talking about swords and whatever else was happening there. I never thought I would say thank God Michael Waltrip was there, but in this situation, I'm glad he was because somebody needed to actually call what was happening. Chandler Smith would go on to win the race. He would do his burnout. He would get out. And he would thank the Lord, like he typically does, because that's one of his big things. And hey, it's his prerogative there. Then he went on to say, basically in the same sentence, holy shit, which I think thanking the Lord and saying holy shit at the same time is probably in Leviticus, or maybe it's in the Old Testament. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to theology, but regardless, he's in victory lane now with his new Front Row Motorsport truck team, and they are really fast. I think they could absolutely be a threat to win the championship this year, and with the championship at Phoenix, that's a place that Chandler Smith usually performs pretty well out. And then we have to talk about Saturday's NASCAR Xfinity Series race, except there's really not much to talk about here because Kyle Larson absolutely dominated the day, stunk up the show, sent everybody home thinking, man, we just paid to watch Kyle Larson lead a parade around here. 275 laps led for Larson on Saturday at Bristol. He takes that 17 Hendrick Motorsports car to victory lane for the first time this year, and it feels a lot like Homestead, right? Where he won the truck race, didn't win the Xfinity race, and then goes on to win the Cup race. He finished second in the truck race, wins the Xfinity race. Does that mean he's going to win the Cup race? Just can't win all three in the same weekend. Obviously, this is great for Larson and the Hendrick Motorsports team just because of the passing of John Edwards, their director of communications, the PR rep for Kyle Larson, longtime PR rep for Jeff Gordon. A good moment for them. So it's feel good. Always feels like Hendrick Motorsports rises in these type of occasions as well to get wins when they're hit with tragedies, and unfortunately it feels like they've been met with a lot of tragedies lately. So yeah, that was good for them. The junior motorsport cars are just absolutely lights out right now. You have Carson Kvapil finishing in second, Justin Allgaier finishing in third. At one point, you had the top five were just JRM cars and Hendrick Motorsports. They are just lightning fast right now. We did have one big incident on the day where Dean Thompson turned Sheldon Creed. Ran in the back of the 00, turned Sheldon Creed, and Sheldon sitting on the front stretch And Brendan Poole just absolutely arc-braked him, slams into the side of him, just absolutely sheared the rear end off of the 44 of Brendan Poole. Pretty dramatic hit. Like, that was a big time hit. He got out of the car afterwards and said that it felt like a super speedway hit. I don't necessarily know if there's a lack of communication there. His spotter was telling him, check up, or go down, whatever it was in the moment that he was saying there. One thing I did hear from some people at the track, some team members at the track, was that NASCAR is having a hard time communicating. There seemed to be some static over the radios and people not being able to hear the tower at times. So I don't know if that played into it, but Brendan Poole is not a guy that I would put on my arc-a-brake checklist. Like, I don't expect Brendan Poole to arc-a-brake into anybody there. Certainly not in my top. Honestly, he doesn't make my top probably 30. That kid's been around long enough. He's a veteran race car driver. He knows exactly what he's doing. There's other people certainly out there what I would say, yeah, you're going to probably arc-a-brake into somebody. Maybe like the 70 or the 70. No, I'm not going to say that one. The 91, there's potential they could have done it today as well. And I love those DGM guys out there, but I'm not sold on CJ McLaughlin. The check is sold. So there's that. But yeah, that was a big time wreck there. Sheldon got out afterwards, clapped for Dean when he went by, then waved Jeb Burton by. And then as he's doing that, his car's just rolling away to smash into the wall there, ghost riding the whip after it was already completely totaled on Saturday. But like I said, it was the Kyle Larson show for the most part there. He had lapped within stage 1, lapped all the way up to 13th, I believe, like just lights out. Nobody really had anything for him. Justin Allgaier hung with him for a little bit in stage 3, but ultimately it was going to be the Kyle Larson show, top to bottom. He wins on Saturday. Now he's going to try to win on Sunday in the Cup Series. And hey, like I said, we'll see if there's massive tire wear in that race or not. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about the potential tire wear issues, the truck race on Friday night, the Xfinity race on Saturday. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok at BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at BreakHardBlog.